ASMRda, Lord of the Rings lore with the Bard of Arda. I figured we would go on Tolkien Gateway, my favorite Tolkien resource, and we could look up different entries and read about different characters and events and places and things and learn a little more about Lord of the Rings. And we can also look for any potential errors we might find. Tolkien Gateway is my favorite and an incredible resource, but sometimes there are errors, and if we stumble across any, we can make a note and go in and fix that later. If people are into it, we could also join the Discord and find pages that need a little love and do some work there, writing new entries or fixing any issues. But I figured for our first video, we could go in and just read an entry and see how it goes. We're going to start with Rivendell, Elven Refuge in the Misty Mountains. Right off the bat, that kind of bugs me. Is it in the Misty Mountains? It's like, I guess, it's a part. When I think in, I think like more central, like where you would find Goblin Town or the High Pass, Moria, that kind of stuff. The name Rivendell refers to more than one character, item, or concept. For a list of other meanings, see Rivendell. Let's just click it to see what else Rivendell can be. It's just all different entries that include Rivendell. An evening in Rivendell. Isn't that also a Rush song or CD? No, right there, Rivendell. It's a song by the Canadian rock band Rush. I don't think I've ever listened to that. Okay, let's go back. And the house of Elrond was a refuge for the weary and the oppressed, and a treasury of good counsel and wise lore. From the Silmarillion of the Rings of Power in the Third Age, we have an awesome illustration of Rivendell by Tolkien himself here. I'm not sure if he actually colored this or not. I feel like this might have been done by somebody else after the fact, but don't quote me on that. Somebody put it down in the comments below, if you know offhand. So, we'll read his little descriptor here on the side before we get into the entries. Rivendell, general information, pronunciation. As for Sindarin, the Elvish language most commonly spoken in Middle-earth in the Third Age. Imladris, with of course a trilled R. Other names: Imladris, Sindarin, Imbellaris, Quenya, Carningul. What's that, Western? Yes, Aduni, so Western, the language of the Dunedain in Middle-earth. By the end of the Third Age, it was more or less a universal language spoken throughout the races and peoples of the Westlands. Thus, it was also known as the common speech. Westron. Oh Lord, it keeps going. Western, it's the common speech, the common tongue. When you read English in The Lord of the Rings, they're speaking Western. We have the first homely house, as well as the last homely house. Interesting. Last homely house, east of the sea. The first homely house, west of the mountains. Whatever. The house of Elrond. Marvanwa Tialieva. Tialieva. Marvanwa Tialieva. Location: a hidden valley beneath the western misty mountains in Eriador. Eriador. Or is it Eriador? We'll have to look that up. Let's do that real quick. It's going to bother me if I don't. Tolkien Stress Analyzer is an excellent resource that I use, probably as much as Gateway, because I can never remember how to pronounce these words. What am I looking up? Ariador. Ariador. Well, there you have it, folks. Population primarily elves. We know that the descendants of Isildur grow up there. Famously, Aragorn and Bilbo also lived there from the year 31 of the first age of the third age, excuse me, 3001 of the third age until he departs Middle Earth. Language: Quenya, Sindarin, Western, covered in the Lord of Rivendell, aka Elrond. Preceded by a region, I guess, because it's the haven for the elves. After Region falls, they would have gone to Rivendell, founded in the Second Age, 1697. We have the First Siege, 1697 to 1700. The Second Age. The Second Siege, circa 3rd Age 1400. What is that? I keep going on these tangents, but we haven't even gone into the entry yet. This is why. Maybe somebody like me is a good person to bring you through Tolkien Gateway and show you how interesting it could be, how much of a rabbit hole you can go down. Also bring me right back to Tolkien Gateway. We're gonna go to 1400 of the Third Age. Is this one Calabrian? Is attacked 1400. I don't know what they're referring to. I'm probably just not remembering. That's very likely. Put it down in the comments. Make me look silly. The Council of Elrond, the 25th of October, 3rd Age, 3018. Abandoned by the 4th Age, 120. And what is that? Comes from the Appendix A. But it just showed me if I did this. Yes, oh nice. I normally use my phone when I'm looking at this website, so excellent. I love it. The Númenorian King. Accounts of Alan Lee on here. The Folio Society's limited edition of The Hobbit. Though that's beautiful. Reminds me of Final Fantasy IX. Ottoman. Oh wow. I've never seen this before. This is cool. Black Riders. Gorgeous artwork, yeah. We'll be here forever if we look at all that, so let's get back and let's read. Rivendell or Imladris. Real quick, I don't know why. I get it. I like to look at the etymology first, and then we'll go back to the top. Rivendell is English, Clovendell, the common speech translation of the Sindari name Imladris, deep dale of the cleft. The name Imladris is also glossed as flat-floored valley of the cleft, in a letter to Anthony D. Howlett, but also simply as Canyon of the Cleft in Pinata Tangwad, number 47. I've never read any of these books. The original common speech name for Rivendell was Karningul, itself a translation of Lamladris. Is that from the appendices? Yeah. Karningul. Frodo, you must go to Karningul. Or no, he would be Maura. You must head to Karningul. Other names, the Quenya name, Arkimbele. How do we pronounce that one? That's Quenya. Arkimbele. See, that sounds better. Arkimbele is used only once in a manuscript, and its meaning is unclear except for the element imbe, deep veil, which comes from the Parma el Dalambaron. A more literal translation is given La Timbarista. However, on the same page, Tolkien stated that this name was not used in practice. It was replaced by the Quenya-ized form of Imladris, Empellaris. One of the names of the House of Elrond and Imladris was Marvan Watialieva, House of the Past or Departed Mirth in Quenya. This name was retained from the earlier Cottage of Lost Play found in the Book of Lost Tales. I thought that sounded familiar. Okay, so let's go back up to history. Right, that's where we were. No, we have more to go. Rivendell, or Imladris, was an elven outpost in the Misty Mountains, on the eastern edge of Eriador. Due to its location, it was called the Last Homely House, from the point of view of a traveler going to the Misty Mountains and Wilderland, and also the first homely house, from the point of view of someone coming from these lands to the civilized lands of Eriador to the west. It was established by Elrond in Second Age 1697 as a refuge from Sauron after the fall of Eregion. It's going to be from the appendices as well. It remained Elrond's seat throughout the remainder of the Second Age and until the end of the Third Age, when he took the White Ship for Valinor. Rivendell had a strong alliance with the kings of Arnor, and after the fall of Arthedain, it became a refuge for the Rangers of the North and the heir of Isildur. Geography. Rivendell was located at the edge of a narrow gorge of the Bruinen River, but well hidden in the moorlands and foothills of the Misty Mountains. Comes from Unfinished Tales, and this comes from probably the same. Oh no, look at that. The Hobbit. I love a Hobbit reference. Pine trees grow on the top of the valley, and there was a steep zigzag path to the valley bottom. The vegetation in the valley bottom was mostly oak and beech. We know that there are pine trees at the top of the valley as well from Frodo. At the beginning of the Council of Elrond chapter, he says, I would like to get into those pines up there. And Gandalf's like, bro, we got things to do. History. The Second Age. Foundation. During the War of the Elves and Sauron, and as Sauron was moving against Eriador, Elrond led an army of elves of Lindon to the region. They arrived late but were joined by a detachment out of Aragion led by Celeborn. Despite this, Sauron's armies overwhelmed the elves, and Elrond was unable to reach Aragion. Forced northward towards the headwaters of Bruinen, Elrond established a stronghold. This became a refuge for those seeking shelter from Sauron's onslaught in Eriador, and Elrond and Celeborn themselves were soon joined by many fleeing the sack of Aragion. More came as Sauron ravaged Eriador on his march toward Lindon. By Second Age 1700, Sauron had overrun all of Eriador, and Imladris was besieged. The siege ended when Gil-galad's forces, strengthened by the armament sent by Tar Minastir, routed Sauron's armies and drove him out of Eriador. The council held at the same time made Elrond Gil-galad's vice-regent in Eriador, and Imladris his seat. Gil-galad bestowed Velia upon Elrond in secret. Aided by the power of the Elven Ring, Elrond made Imladris one of the chief seats of elvish strength in the west, the latter part of the Second Age. Imladris remained an elvish stronghold in Eriador to the Second Age and into the Third. To the end of the Second Age and into the Third. The Last Alliance. At the end of the Second Age, Elendil and Gil-galad formed the last alliance of elves and men to challenge Sauron, and their hosts halted for a while at Imladris in Second Age 34-31, and they stayed there for 3 years, gathering their forces before crossing the Misty Mountains. Isildur's wife and his youngest son, Valandil, were in Imladris at that time, and Isildur was journeying back to them after Sauron's defeat when he was ambushed at the Gladden Fields. After receiving the shards of Narsil, Valandil took up his role as the king of Arnor and left Imladris for Anúminas. The Third Age. After the fall of Gil-galad, Elrond remained in Imladris. During the Third Age, it was a refuge and a sanctuary. Many elves gathered there, and it was the chief dwelling of the high elves of Eriador, except for the elves of Lindon, but also wise and powerful people of all the races. Most of the elves who lived in Rivendell were high elves. The heirs of Isildur were also harbored there due to their kinship with Elrond, as the descendants of his brother Elros. Danger came to Eriador around Third Age 1300, when Angmar was established in the northeast beyond the Etten Moors. It was late in the reign of Ardvelag I that Rivendell was besieged by Angmar. After an incursion by Angmar into Eriador in Third Age 1409, the elves of Rivendell joined those of Lindon Galadrim, whom Elrond brought over the mountains in subduing the power of the Witch King for many years. After the end of the North Kingdom in 3rd Age, 1975, in 1975, Aranarth, the first chieftain of the Dunedain, had his son fostered in Rivendell, as were all subsequent sons of the chieftains. The heirlooms and treasures of the House of Isildur, including the shards of Narsil, were also kept there after Arvedui's death. Arvedui's death. Among these were also some of the few remaining documents containing the history of Numenor. There was traffic across the Misty Mountains at the 3rd Age between Imladris and Lothlorien, for Elrond's wife was Celebrian, daughter of Galadriel and Celeborn. In the quest of Erebor, Bilbo Baggins stopped off at Rivendell with the dwarves on the way to the Lonely Mountain, and also on the way back to the Shire with Gandalf. Bilbo retired there after his 11st birthday, writing his memoir there and back again. Years later, Frodo Baggins and his companions journeyed to Rivendell, where they met Bilbo. Several other elves, dwarves, and men had also arrived at Rivendell on separate errands. At the Council of Elrond, they learned that all their errands were related to the fate of the One Ring, and they had to decide what to do about it. In the end, the hobbits influenced the decision. Following the destruction of the One Ring, at the end of the 3rd Age, Elrond's ring lost its power, and Elrond, with many of his household, left Rivendell to sail for Valinor from the Grey Havens. This marked the start of the 4th Age. Later history. Although Elrond departed from Rivendell, Elladan and Elrohir remained for a while with some of the remaining Noldor. That would be his children, Elrond's sons. It is believed that Celeborn also relocated to Rivendell after the departure of Galadriel, and having also grown weary of East Lorien. It's from the prologue, and it should be pending speaking, but it's also talked about a lot in Unfinished Tales. It is not known when Rivendell was finally abandoned, but shortly after Aragorn died in the 4th Age 120, he said to Arwen that none now walk in the Gardens of Elrond, indicating that the last of the Noldor had departed to Valinor. Inspiration. A possible inspiration, so suggested by David Salo, could have been Lauterbrunn in Switzerland, which Tolkien visited in 1911. I am delighted that you have made the acquaintance of Switzerland, and of the very part that I once knew best and which had the deepest effect on me. The Hobbit's journey from Rivendell to the other side of the Misty Mountains, including the glissade down the slithering stones into the pine woods, is based on my adventures in 1911. He was 19 and traveled to Lauterbrunnen. Our wanderings, mainly on foot, in a party of 12, are not now clear in sequence, but leave many vivid pictures as clear as yesterday. He talks of similar conditions of the travel of Bilbo camping out, walking mountain paths, carrying packs. From letter 306. We've got pictures of Rivendell from adaptations, and its inclusions in lots of different video games as well as our big thing here. So yeah, that was our first ever episode on Tolkien Gateway for ASMRda. So if you enjoyed the video, give us a like and follow along. And yeah, let me know what you want to check out in the next video. And here's my we can also edit my page here. I didn't make this, I promise. Somebody texted me, you know that you're on Tolkien Gateway, right? And I was very excited. It seems that somebody did a list of all people who did music, on like YouTube and stuff, referring to Tolkien, and I luckily made the cut, and it's quite actually an honor to be on this website, and maybe we can edit it together and give it a little more credibility. I can source myself. I did it